Do you ever wish the weekend could last just a little longer? Those 2 precious days that feel like a breath of freedom after a busy week? For me, weekends aren't just about rest, they're about slowing down, doing what I love, and reconnecting with life. In this story, I'll take you through a typical weekend in my world, full of calm mornings, lazy afternoons, and small moments that make life beautiful. Episode 1: The Morning Rush. The alarm rang loudly, breaking the silence of the early morning. My eyes opened slowly, and for a moment, I wished it was still the weekend. The room was cool, and the soft morning light touched the curtains. I sat up, yawned, and stretched my arms. My school bag was already packed from the night before, sitting neatly by the desk. Still, I checked it again, just to make sure I didn't forget my homework. The smell of breakfast came from the kitchen, and that always made me feel a bit more awake. I put on my school uniform, brushed my hair, and looked at myself in the mirror. I whispered, "Okay, another new day. Let's go." Downstairs, Mom was waiting with a warm smile and a plate of toast. She always said, "A good breakfast makes a good day." I smiled back, grabbed my bag, and kissed her on the cheek before running out the door. Outside, the air was fresh and cool. I could hear birds singing and cars passing. My friend Tom was waiting at the corner, waving his hand as usual. "Hurry up," he shouted, laughing. We walked together towards school, talking about the math test we had that day. I wasn't nervous, but I wasn't confident either. I just hoped it would go well. When we reached the school gate, the building looked huge, as always. The sound of students chatting filled the air. Some were running, others were quietly reading or standing with their friends. I greeted my classmates and entered the classroom. Our teacher, Mrs. Brown, was already there, writing on the board. "Good morning, everyone," she said cheerfully. We all answered, "Good morning, Mrs. Brown." The first lesson was English, my favorite subject. I loved learning new words and trying to make sentences. Today's topic was describing people. Mrs. Brown asked us to describe our best friend. I started writing quickly, describing Tom, his funny jokes, his messy hair, and how he always helped me with homework. It made me smile as I wrote. When it was my turn to read aloud, I felt a bit shy. But Mrs. Brown listened carefully and said, "Very good, Mark." That was clear and natural. I felt proud. The rest of the morning passed quickly in math, science, and history. Between classes, we laughed, shared snacks, and talked about our weekend plans. By lunchtime, the school smelled like sandwiches and fresh fruit. We sat under the big tree in the schoolyard. The wind was gentle, and the sunlight passed through the green leaves. Tom told a funny story that made us all laugh loudly. For a few minutes, there were no worries, no homework, just joy. I realized that school wasn't only about books and grades. It was also about moments like this, friendship, laughter, and memories that would stay forever. When the lunch bell rang again, I took a deep breath and said quietly, "This is what I love about school." Episode 2: the afternoon lessons, and after-school moments. After lunch, the school bell rang again, calling everyone back to class. The playground that had been full of laughter a few minutes ago slowly became quiet. We walked back to our classroom, still smiling and talking about Tom's funny story. The afternoon light came through the big windows, and it made the room feel calm. Mrs. Brown was ready for our next lesson, science. Today, we were learning about plants and how they grow. She brought a small pot with a green sprout in it and said, "This little plant needs care, just like your dreams." I really liked that sentence. It stayed in my mind. We took turns describing what a plant needs: sunlight, water, air, and love. I liked the idea that something so small could grow strong if we take care of it. Maybe learning English is like that too, small steps every day, and then one day, you see the result. After science, we had art class. That was always my favorite time of the day. The smell of paint filled the air, and everyone was focused but happy. The teacher told us to draw our dream place. Some drew the beach, some mountains, others drew big cities. I drew a classroom with happy students and a kind teacher. When the teacher saw it, she smiled and said, "That's beautiful, Mark. Maybe one day you'll be a teacher." I laughed, but inside, I thought maybe I would. Time passed faster than I expected. When the final bell rang, everyone shouted with joy. The day was over, and freedom was waiting outside. Tom and I packed our things and walked slowly out of the school. The sun was still shining, but it was softer now, turning everything golden. On the way home, we talked about our homework, but also about the soccer game we planned for the weekend. We stopped by a small shop near school to buy ice cream. I chose chocolate, my favorite. The shop owner knew us well and smiled, saying, "You two always come here after class." We laughed, said goodbye, and continued walking home. My backpack felt lighter, and so did my heart. Even though it was just an ordinary day, it felt special in its own way. When I got home, Mom was in the kitchen again. "How was school?" she asked with her warm smile. I said, "It was great. I learned about plants, drew my dream, and had fun with my friends." She nodded and said, "Sounds like a good day." I agreed. After finishing my homework, I looked outside the window. The sky was turning orange and pink again, just like in the morning. Birds were flying home, and I could hear kids laughing in the distance. I thought about Mrs. Brown's words again, "This little plant needs care, just like your dreams." Maybe that's what school is really about: learning, caring, and growing a little bit more every single day. I smiled and whispered quietly to myself, "I'm growing too." Thank you, my dear listener, for joining me today in this little journey through school life. Every story you listen to, every word you understand, it's a step forward in your English journey. Don't forget, learning English is just like growing a plant. It takes time, patience, and love. If this story made you smile, please support the channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Together, we'll keep learning, growing, and creating more beautiful English moments. See you in the next episode on English Online.